Hello, hello, hello. Oh, I hope this is getting okay. So I'm just settling in. Sorry if I sound a little nasally. I have actually been processing a lot of energy, a lot. And in that processing, just being guided to come in and share in real time a little practice that dropped in. And sometimes information comes to me as to what to go on and record, and other times it's like live in the moment. I hope that someday that I will have enough followers to do lives. And I'm sending that wish off, sealed with a kiss. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, but anyways, just feeling this pull. And what the message is to share in the real-time moment is a practice of asking. Ask and you shall receive is the practice, and it's one I've struggled with, to be honest. And that's my vulnerability, which I've just been sitting with and processing. And the emotions may come through in real time and they may not. And the practice is allowing, right? Like in full authenticity, and even noticing like, oh God, it's just painful to hold. And it's like acknowledging what's underneath there. And it's like, ooh, that's a little raw, right? And the authenticity to allow yourself to really feel that. And to know that there's nothing wrong with that. And all of the full spectrum, right? Like, gosh, the depth. And these tears, like, whoa, they don't come from deep pain or sorrow or hurt. Like, oh God, they come from such deep sacredness is the word that seems to like not demonize, not shame, not guilt, not all the human spectrums. It's, to me, it honors all of them because they're all true, right? This human experience is that spectrum, and at the same time, can we allow ourselves to release and let go easily and effortlessly? Not to be in dismissal or to disassociate, but to be real, right? This disconnection, which is the polarity that creates, right? That void that expands so much, it sparks, right? It's so separate. It knows itself so separate from something as to define it, and it creates a spark, right? A spark, a knowing, an essence, a form, a thought, an idea, a belief, a dream, to imagine, right? In the void, that space of asking, thinking about the depth of our awareness, right? That flow of information that streams within our experience, right? Being that watchful observer for a while, like making that the practice, just to observe, starting there. And in those observations, the asking to deeply inquire for yourself, right? Out of it, why do we ask our questions? Why are we curious about something? To know it. To know it is to see it. To see it is to know it. I mean, what more is, life if it's, unexperienced? Sit with that for a while, right? How much of life exists on this planet and we don't even know it or experience it or see it? Is such a vast world in itself, every little creature. Doesn't mean because I don't know it all deeply that it doesn't exist. I'll tell you, I sat with that one in my ponderings and my contemplations for a while. Like, to know is to be seen is to be, and I just unpack, right? Like, keep going down, like, stream of consciousness, understand and process what it is that you believe and why, and challenge it from the inside out for your own peace, right? That's peace and joy, because it's our life. To live is to experience, right? And so when we're dealing with these challenges of life and knowing, wow, right, like for two things to exist, it's an opposite. And in between is a spectrum of potential. So every moment's a potential. Every moment a continual evolution. And can we sit in the space enough to hear our guidance? Ask and you shall receive. I truly believe that inner compass knows all the potentials, and it can feel in and it can flow like the water. The path of least resistance. And so I love to be inspired by nature. It speaks to me. It's my metaphor, the language. It's my sacred language with myself, right? My highest guidance, and how that language no one understands but me. It's there for my experience. And so we listen and we follow and we ask. Ask the questions to your highest self. Develop a relationship with your highest self. That is your YouRu. You are your own guru. Oh, and so we flow with that knowing and coming back, that mantra, that remembering. What is it? What is it in this present moment that is available to me, right? Is what data am I assessing from and why? And there's so many perspectives that we could tune into, and that's where we start to discern, right? We discern in our language and follow our guidance and get back to these technologies within us. They're not outside of us, they're within us. We have abilities we have not explored within ourselves. What if that's the invitation? What if that's the opportunity? Busying ourselves with things that disconnect us from our essence, cloud our gifts and talents, waste our energy staying in spaces and places that are not in alignment, feels wobbly, feels cold, feels void. I don't know. That's where I go. Like, I don't know anymore. I'm really trying to stay in my essence, right? The true essence, not the one that was projected upon me, but really mine. And so that's the practice I'm called to bring to you, is ask and you shall receive. And it starts with creating a relationship with you, your essence, your internal flame, spark of life and creation, the one you forgot, really, the one that was clouded is just what I'm seeing and feeling, the one that was covered up and layered underneath each of these like coats of many colors. I don't know. And it's, that is something that's come through it used to come through all the time. That patchwork and that coat of many colors, right? And I'm not remembering the storyline right now, so maybe it's a wink to look deeper into. I know what the patchwork means to me, and that stained glass fragmentation. Each one, this little, I don't know, when I zoom in on my picture, it's just like this dome around with all these projections of different lives and different circumstances, like it's all little TV shows, right? It's like noise. It's noise. It's like, oh, my antenna could pick up so many spectrums of light in so many different colors. It's just this mosaic spiral. And I'm this tree in the center, right? All of life and creation is spiraling around me, and I'm observing and I'm witnessing and I'm feeling every little piece on every little leaf. To really feel this expansive. It's a totally different frequency octave. So breathe and allow yourself to settle in. I'm going to take you on a little journey to you. This is some of the things that I work on when I am working one-on-one with individuals, and we go to this space of you. And we sit in that space. And we do an inner inquiry. And I know ahead of time what it is you want to work on, or we're going in blind. And it's a creative space and allowing spirit to come in to us together in a collective creative experience. It's mind-blowing. And honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do. And so much so I desire friends that just want to do that with me, right? Like to co-create together in like our individual ways, but like inspired by one another. Like, yeah, like really feel that. And I can be weird and crazy with my ideas, and I'm not going to be tore down for them. I'm going to be celebrated for like, yeah, man, that's, that is fascinating. Because I fascinate myself. Like, I love intellectual conversations where I get to share that. It's like, wow, okay, there's some potential, really. And then we can even critique our potential a little bit, right? Like, not to diminish each other, but just to be a little bit of a advocate. And I love it when the other perspectives come from a space of curiosity. And I love feedback. I don't know. I have this love-hate. I'm going to be so honest in this space, but I have this love-hate with feedback because, yes, I love it. Like, I want to know positive feedback. And I'm like, okay, so am I a Pollyanna? I mean, there have been spaces and places in my life where that has been something that's been projected upon to me. And I've had to sit with and ponder, like, okay, are there pros and are there cons? What are the cons? Yeah, I can be naive, right? Like, I really can. And I've experienced that. But I'm older now. And I have so much wisdom from those places and spaces. And honestly, I'm glad I learned it the way I did. And so it's hard for me to say, I mean, I really challenge this in my deepest depths of, like processing, like today and on this year, to be honest. And I really look at that because, it's the full spectrum. And that's one of the things that I like to pull in the directions, expand my awareness, and really hold that space, that bigger space, bigger purview, right? Bigger lens than I have in the past. And for my own inquiry and expansion and my own embodiment, sovereign, divine embodiment, like that information when you go to that inner inquiry is so empowering. No one outside you can give you that. I'm sorry, but the external world, until you figure out how to read that mirror, that mosaic that is reflecting back, and the patterns, the patterns, my dear, these are the cycles we repeat. And there's individual, there's collective, there's karmic, there's so many potentials, so many timelines. And I truly believe learning how to discern from that inner space. Sometimes I'm shown a big yes or a little yes, right? Like, I learn my yeses, I learn my nos. And so I'll do that too. I'm going to ask you, there we go. I like to do things in threes, and it mirrors my YouRu law is what I call it. I don't know. I got lots of frameworks and laws, and essentially there's just like this sacred geometry and my symbolisms that come to me, and they're fun, they're playful. I like to make infographics. I plan to bring some to you and literally this is my invitation to let myself be weird, let myself create, let myself be seen, because everyone wants to be this kid again that goes back and is who they are and is accepted. And I want to do that, and I want to embody a space that it's okay for you to do it too. So these are practices for you to learn how to be you in other spaces and places, and maybe I'll combine them someday. But I invite a space of expression in my YouRu law, the framework that I always operate under. And I like it because I like to figure out ways to be like, repeat what works, pay attention to those, and then, find universal, like, simplify. So there's 4 things I go back to all the time. 1, the breath. We are not alive without the energy that's flowing within us. And it's our breath, right? Water, with lots of things that feed this life. But essentially, if our heart stops, our heart is first, right? But as long as that's beating, that breath comes, really is that other thing that sometimes our heart can keep going and our breath can be maintained for us. So as soon as, we even have means to keep our hearts beating now, and, that's a space I know intimately, and is why I say the heart-centered life, because we do have means to pump our hearts now too. And I know that because my dad experienced a heart disease my entire life, and, struggled at certain points with, having to make the choice to keep his heart beating with not natural methods. And we had many technologies that helped us with that. And one of them that he was very resistant to was the pump. And so it seems very, very significant. Sorry. There's lots to process with, for some reason, a common thread for me, and you may or may not resonate if you're with it, if you're here. I trust it will support someone to share, is just the healing those father wounds, and a daughter of 4 and a devoted father and full spectrum man, typical Midwestern white man, working hard, middle class, all the, whatever your father is, right? There's so many spectrums of that energy, and even in my friends and in the males, and I've always kind of had more of a connection to men because I worked with my dad from a younger age, and it was just one of those things that I enjoyed, and I was fond of him, and felt some affinity, there were things that I just felt, significant to me in relation to my dad. So, not that I don't have that with my mother too, because I do in different ways, right? And that's part of the work, is coming into terms with all the different archetypes: the mother, the father, the lover, the prostitute, the child, the victim, the victor, the betrayed, the betrayer, all of them, every single one, right? And I'm a love of depth and life, and as much life. Like, I remember when my dad passed, someone said, a sign of your grief is the sign of the depth of your love. And that felt so resonant to me, so real. But at the same time, it's a vulnerability, right? Like, can I really go that deep? But then, do you know what I learned through the loss of my father? Is when he left, that moment, he never left. He came into me and expanded around me, and it's just speaks to me with no separation in ways I know it's him, because it speaks in terms of what he was in his human life here, but in a bigger perspective. And only he can explain it in the way he does, because it's in the stories of my life. My human experience is a guide. He's my guide. So beautiful. And as I opened that channel, honestly, that channel opened before he left in phenomenal ways. And, if you're on this path and it's opening, or it has opened, or wherever you are in the spectrum of this quantum mirror, or maybe you're super resistant, so you're like, what the fuck? Who is she? I see you. I've been all of you. That's why you're here, right? And as we expand our consciousness, as humanity expands in these ever-changing times of chaos, like just like every shift in human consciousness and through time, the revolutions, the eras of great innovation, the times when Earth changed dramatically. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing to fathom just how much that ancient knowledge has carried through so much? Even the glyphs in civilizations that are gone. We have found now the connection points. We're shown mystery information found. Information, data, consciousness, it's available to us much easier than we believe. And now with AI, like in human form, we have created so much data, so much. I mean, the algorithms and the computing power and all of that, like no wonder we have AI, right? And it can get smarter. And how will we as humanity use that technology? That's the question. And I truly, truly, truly believe in that humanity will do what's right because it's always been that way. It's like an evolution. Look into your own life, and as long as you're expanding your awareness and truly growing, there's understanding there. There's making the unseen seen is to know and to expand and to grow and evolve. And so here we are, right? Okay, tuning into you. So you can create a relationship from the inside out with this human experience and know yourself at the essence and learn how to discern that sacred language of you. And if you need a guide to cultivate that relationship at first, I started there. I had many practices on my own, but we're always a student and we're always a teacher. And at the end of the day, you will always be your own guru. I just invite you into ideas or beyond the resistance, beyond, bringing the light, a little spark through my own intuitive awareness and trusting the flow. Because from where two places meet, there's always a spark and more light of something, right? So in that spectrum, let's find you. First breathing in and filling up your vessel. And because this is a recording and everyone kind of takes their own little journey, I'll describe to you what I want you to feel. Okay? As you breathe in, I want you to feel as if you are filling your vessel, your human vessel, nourishing, soothing, bringing any sort of ease, peace, joy, anything soothing and expanding into the body, feeling into spaces and places that feel dense and like they need your attention, and feeling into spaces and places that don't. Simply being the inner observer as you're filling your vessel, expanding your awareness first to understand where are the edges of my vessel. This is a deep study, and it's one you don't need to intellectualize. I've gone there. That's my tendency. That's how I know I'm in emotionally bypassing, actually. It's something I've observed, but my inner observer is the key, right? So building that muscle of inner observation, getting acquainted with your inner world, that takes a while. It takes a practice. It takes a dedication and a devotion. It's so rewarding. It takes a love, truly. So breathing in and filling up that vessel and taking your time, right? Sometimes you just don't have that much time and you're just like taking a little layer off. Sometimes you have more time and you're able to dig deeper. But I really, really, really encourage a deep practice of allowing yourself enough space without the restrictions of time. Maybe once a week starting. Honestly, the more you do this inner energetic cleanup, the less time it takes, and even just like a quick inner scan, but that's as you build your muscle. But I'm telling you, this is a practice I've cultivated over many years and dedicated many hours in long Vipassanas. I've ran away from Vipassanas at day 6 of 10. I'm intimidated to ever try a 10 again, honestly. But at the same time, I also look at my day-to-day and this past year, and there have been moments of serious cocooning where I'm like, I think I lost track of how many days I was in deep meditation. And that's really vulnerable for me to share because I've been in a transition. I've been in the space of, life circumstances that I wouldn't have redone or I wouldn't have changed. Caretaking of, all these relationships and experiences that are deeply sacred to me. And, the process of my dad's whole, life with heart disease and it's, how it relates to mine and, how much of that relationship is still, part of who I am, and my mom and their dynamics. Like I said, all those archetypes within me, not only within me as mine, as my child that I experienced, my mother, my father, also being a mother. And to 2 different husbands and 4 children that are living and 1 that's not. Like, so many dynamics. And I know I'm a deep thinker and a deep feeler and a mystic and a shaman and a diviner at heart. Like, I feel deeply. And at the same time, I don't want to use that as a weapon against me. Like, wow, this time has really shown me that path of compassion. Deep, unconditional love and compassion is all I can say. And grace, and to a place where I knew that there was something that could exist, but it was like a foreign feeling to a deep feeling, like knowing. It is what it is in my being, and I get lots of reflections back in that mirror and a deep space of inner integrity and dignity in my sovereignty through unconditional love for myself. That's key. Like, this is not, I am forgiving you because it's the right thing to do. This is not it. No, my dears. No. This is, I am forgiving myself. I'm forgiving myself for the distortions against myself. as real as they are. And at the end of the day, it's a deep answer, a deep mirror point that always takes me back to looking at myself. And what do we have to do to dissolve past this life? When we leave, we have to leave all our identities in form, all of them. And if all of my caretaking and end-of-life experiences, which someday maybe I'll share some of my most phenomenal ones. Only a few people know them, and I've been reluctant to share just because of not really feeling like it's appreciated or like maybe even would be fear-invoking in some instances. So it's just not ready to be received yet fully, and I'm working, this is why I'm sharing this now, on the spaces and places to express freely, because that has been part of my path, and feeling safe to express, and very much perceived from the inside and also projected, because we have had our ancestral lines that have experienced things that were unprocessed. And we are processing all of our experience because we're born of the emotional waters of our mothers. Our water carries memory, not to punish. No, not to punish, but I don't know, keep record, to inform, to continually co-create. I've pondered so many ideas, and I don't want to even pretend that I'm the know-it-all of any of it. This is just my inner inquiry and experience. And I love deep conversations where we can really expand on them together, because I do believe that sends things out into the collective field. And I used to fear talking about scary things, but at the same time, I've kind of played with the idea of, again, like touching in on the what if is only then, to reclaim back, reframe it into it's a potential, but it's not a reality. Or I'm not going to be that's where I still will play with that. And I will say, this is where you look at that mirror, because you are a reflective point. You are a magnet. I can't even kind of tell you not to be aware of that, because it's not to be feared, but to be seen and worked with. I'm curious. So I experience the spectrum. And now, in my human experience, I'm not as naive as I was born into this world circumstance to experience, I guess. And I'm not going to be ashamed of it, because I actually had so much more power in it. And now I know, I can see oh, shoot. And I just when the past comes up, it's so freaking clear. And I am so glad to have my practice because of that. And that's the muscle. That's the beauty you gain with this practice. Yes, it opens you up to feeling, but it's that in that feeling, we have a deeper knowing and a seeing. And it's our thresholds. And honor our own thresholds, honor our own boundaries. And everyone has their own frequency and how they work with their energy. That I have learned also to know, and to trust how. I don't know how many spiritual practitioners and people I've worked with that will tell me something, and I will see something different in my mind's eye. And I took on their ways because I believe theirs was better. It won't be the last time you hear from me, but for this now, I want you to breathe. And I want you to breathe in through your entire body, fill your vessel until you get to a place of ease where you're your mind seems calm and you seem open. It might take you a while to get there. Be easy on yourself. Don't try to rush it. Allow your spaces and places to just play with that inner calmness. That's bringing ease to your nervous system, and it's allowing you to release. And the more you create a practice around releasing, around whatever resistance and distortions and like noise and all the things that disrupt, our natural essence, we don't even have to create story around them. We just go in and do this inner cleanup and work with our awareness, asking, how to clear and work with our inner guidance. That's the muscle you build. But before that, you relax the body. You get to that inner space of knowing. And that's where a guide at the beginning of this process can help, because I take you through and I intuitively know like how to guide your energy down. And I'm also a hypnotherapist. And essentially we're getting you into a different brain state. And until your nervous system feels calm, you won't be able to deepen. And so sometimes at the beginning of the practice, there might be some traumas. There might be, I've worked with sexual trauma. I've worked with, abundance blocks. I've worked with limitations. I have my own. And I'll tell you, you have your own threshold of, where you'll take yourself. And that's natural to honor. But you also know, you're like, okay, this feels big and I'm ready for it. And I know who I need to hold some space with me. And that's when you start finding your teachers and your medicines, and you start learning from your own experience what works for you and what doesn't. But your inner voice is key. So once you calm your body and you get to a space of neutrality in your essence, like yours, like in that space of neutrality, you can ask yourself, show me what an inner yes feels like. And you'll feel it in your body. And maybe you feel that now in the noise. If I ask you with your eyes open, this is the ultimate practice, with your eyes open, with all the senses on, what does your inner yes feel like? Do you feel a shift in your body? Maybe your body awareness is there and you do. There's a whole spectrum, but there's a yes under there. And we can remove the layers, and I can work with you to do that and teach you how to do it on your own, because it's a daily practice. It's a momentary embodiment, to be honest. And then you move from that space. And you can even say, what does a no feel like? Feel it. Is it there? Mind shows. And you can play, show me the spectrum. Show me how I know I don't have a clear answer. Ask and you shall receive. You're asking to be shown in the physical body. And the divine is showing you your answer. The answer is there. And if you aren't feeling it, it's just resistance in the way. And that's okay. It's okay. There's no judgment around it. There's no good or bad, right or wrong. It's here for you now as an invitation. And if it feels like a calling or it doesn't, and if it's like, no, that sounds like BS and bullshit, I fucking know my own way. You do. Trust it. You do you. You do you. That's a little mantra in our family. It's interestingly evolved through all of my sisters different ways, but I don't know. I always thought I would write a book or a memoir about us, but honestly, maybe it's just in my expressions of my videos and my content that I share, that you get to know the dynamics of my family. And my memoir, which now, I think it is in my just live stories, because I'm a pretty good storyteller, maybe. I don't know. You can leave comments, kind of quirky, but I've had, lots of fun experiences, and I like my expression of them, and they feel honest and true to the energy that I experienced, and that is fun and playful for me, and I love that. It's just like, that's such a beloved life. And I have given myself the last name of Priya because it stands for beloved. And I am that to me. I really am. Like, It's not a facade. It's not an idea. It's not a proclamation of a name that I am like want. It's one I really felt when it was shared with me. And when I know something, I know something. And so that beloved in me, I so feel her and him, right? The masculine and the feminine essence. We are embodied in a form, in like a body, a girl or a boy body, right? Like, and even that, like, gosh, have we not seen now that there are nuances? And if we look to creation as a guide that's in all things, like, you know, 4-leaf clovers are a distortion in the genetic, right? Like it's a distortion, and it's also lucky. What gifts, those unique things. When I find a knobby, gnarly tree, wow. They've got me captivated. It, he, she, whatever it is. It's got me captivated and curious because it's so divine. It's beauty. It's gnarly, ragged, divine uniqueness. Like, aren't you interesting? So breathing and feeling into that essence and inner yes and inner no, and learning that inner compass and guide, starting to cultivate that relationship between, and you know, as a kid growing up Catholic, it was like I always perceived it before as this like angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, and now I've got a spectrum of channels and guides in there. Like they are not limited to two sides of my shoulders and a good and a bad and a right or wrong. There is a plethora, my dears, of archetypes and scenarios and energies at the end of the day, the energies and the feelings that I feel, that is just to see and to know and hear. And I process pretty fast. It's just like, woof, like just I'll get this flash of knowing, and it's pretty universal. It's like, oh, and when you see and you unsee, you can unsee. And how your awareness comes through to you is your divine, sacred divinity, the sovereignty. That's what you're here. That is not anything that you are creating within you, my loves. Like, you are in co-creation, and that's why you're asking and you're receiving. Like, it's just how it works. From the void, from the separation, there is that spark. And it's just that internal, like knowing or seeing or hearing or tasting. Our subconscious knows, and it's protecting us before we are aware. And it is programmed by our past. It's trying to protect us. It's also punishing us for perceived past circumstances where we didn't allow ourselves to fully process. So that unfinished business is what's carried on from generation to generation, from moment to moment, breath to breath. And now we have the opportunity to clear it, right? And to ask for internal guidance and divinity, because we are in this game of life, this adventure of life, for this experience, in our divine sovereignty and dignity, with dignity, that we get to be our conscious participants, co-creating in a beautiful heaven on earth, because I truly think it's available to us. The hell we experience is the one that's the distorted confusion that we've lost sight of. And it's there as information, and we don't need to sit there and suffer. No, that's not the point. The condemnation has never been the point. Contrast and information. And so we flow. And from that space, building that relationship, ask and you shall receive, breathing in from that space of inner neutrality again and calmness, and breathing until you get there. And if you need assistance, find me and my links in the video descriptions and so on. Or just play on your own if you're guided. Throw on some feel-good music. Play with breathing. You don't need my guidance. If it feels like you want to run questions by someone, do it. If it doesn't feel aligning, don't. I truly believe it's about the experience. What would serve you and what doesn't? Put on that oxygen mask and be okay with receiving help and giving. Like, receive. And can you act from a space where you're just radiating? Like, that essence is enough as you, and trusting the flow of life from that space, and knowing in the ebbs and the flows and the experience of life, we all are active participants playing our parts and roles in our unique and sovereign ways. And the knowing in the present moment, the embodiment of our sovereign self, of our essence, in full acceptance of who we are in that present moment. Doesn't mean we're perfect. Doesn't mean we're even having to get to somewhere that is a state that's beyond what we are. Just allowing and accepting ourselves in love and compassion as we are. And just watching things dissolve from that space is just magic. So in that space of neutrality, asking, I want you to know deeply, show me the essence of me. Show me my essence. Ask and you shall receive. Show me my essence now. When you're struggling, ask and you shall receive. Divine, show me the essence. Show me my essence right now. Allowing it to be what it is. And breathing and feeling in that space. Even if that breath is just this little pinprick that slowly fills and slowly exhales. Just find movement in the stillness. And if you're finding your space in a place of chaos, find stillness in the movement. Can you play in that contrast, in both dualities? Can you hold both essences as true at once? Ask and you shall receive. I have this beautiful imagery that I swim in. Sometimes I'm swimming in colors, which they were how it started, and I lost my colors for a while. They weren't coming, and they're back. And in that space and time, the sacred imagery and geometry and all of these beautiful gifts and codes came. And this, just drop in knowings, these channels and these connections with all my spirit guides. I'll tell you, when they first started presenting, I was like, I think I'm crazy. But thankfully, I was part of communities that were experiencing the same things. So I trust that if you find this, you needed to hear that in some way, or are looking for support or affirmation, whatever it is, just knowing that we all are students, we all are teachers, and we share what's worked for us as to inform one another, and we go from that space, and in doing that, we are supported abundantly in our dreams. That's the space I want you to go to, my friends. Allow yourself to dream. I was, like, one of those things is being afraid of your power along the path. And one of those was what I experienced. It's just like, I've, been in a space of not allowing myself, being afraid of my awareness, and just using it for very discerned ways. And I also been shown why that I had to do it that way, so I can learn that that is a way to work with it, right? Like, we do have choice, and we are also guided in that showing. And so there's so many gifts in how it's unfolded for me, and I know everyone's walking their own divine path. So wherever you find yourself on this path, my friends, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in and holding space and listening from all perspectives, wherever you find it yourself on your belief or perspective scale to whatever I share. It's an invitation, nothing else. Take what serves and leave what doesn't. So many blessings to all of you and wherever you find yourself in this journey, and sealing my messages with a kiss, sending them off to the universe, and knowing the energy that I am embodying in this moment. I'm proud to radiate. Feeling into that essence of me that I was shown. Asking in the moments, align me with my essence. Feeling yourself until you come to a space of completeness. Trusting the journey, even knowing, like, I don't feel complete, but I have to go on to reality. And for me, I have a child that's coughing downstairs. So with that, I'm going to let you go. But thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time. Mwah!